Hello, everybody. Thanks so much again for joining us on the Marketing Resolution YouTube channel. Today I have with me Mr. Chuck Doran, and he and I have been colleagues for, I don't know, Chuck, what do you think? More than 20 years, right?
At least, yeah, Natalie.
Oh, at least. Well, we're both still gorgeous human beings. So I wanted to reach out to you and ask for you to chat to me a little bit, because I know that the business that you've started for yourself there in Boston is extraordinarily successful, and you are such an incredible professional for our industry. And so I'm hoping that today you can share just a little bit more about your particular business in the resolution industry, and just give us a little bit of insights about what it is that you do and how you do it.
Great. Well, thanks for having me, Natalie. It's great to see you again. And just thinking about that 20-year mark, I think when we first met, you were doing a presentation on the marketing of mediators for the New England chapter of the Association for Conflict Resolution in Boston. And I remember I was serving as president, and we were so fortunate to have you there. And we're both still at it.
Of course, I was only 16 when I gave that presentation. So.
That's right.
But time flies, and lots of things in our industry have changed. Not you and I, of course, and lots have stayed the same. But one of the things that has changed is the professionalism in our industry. And I know that you've served as a great proponent for professionalism for mediators and arbitrators with the trainings that your company provides. And so I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, thinking back is that when I started in mediation, it was back in 1992 when I took my first mediation training, and I was hooked. I just found the idea of working with people who were unable to work out a resolution, to sit down with them, and perhaps a few hours later for them to have a shared understanding and kind of a resolution was really exciting, which kind of still drives me today. You know, we have a joke around the office on Friday. We say 2 days till Monday, you know, just because it's, you know, exciting to come back to, you know, to work and do what we do. But I think the idea of professionalism is really important to a practitioner. So my firm, MWI, as you know, was founded on the idea of providing services to people for everywhere from our corporate clients to individuals who are looking to become mediators. So we provide direct services to our corporate clients. We do a lot of work with we provide all the mediations for General Motors for their franchised auto disputes. We've designed and delivered a program for Coca-Cola where they wanted to train actually about 45,000 employees in dispute resolution skills. So that took more than a week. You know, that was a few years project. And then we also train people to become mediators, and we do trainings about 4 times a year. We have a program coming up in May here in Boston where people either, you know, come in from locally or fly in, and we spend a full week helping them understand what it takes to become a mediator. So those are some of the things that have kind of, you know, kept me busy.
Those are not small things, Chuck.
Yeah.
Those are not small things. So if someone is interested in coming to you for a course, or a company is wanting to come to you for a course, what's your web address so that they can reach out to you?
Sure. Well, the site for MWI is MWI.org. And if you're interested in our mediation training, it's actually the same URL, MWI.org/mediation-training. And another thing that we do related to mediation, and you know this, Natalie, about how mediation is oftentimes defined as assisted negotiation. So what we do is we train people to become better negotiators. So we'll go into a company and we will help them. They're either their sales team or their HR team, or perhaps even 2 departments who need to communicate better. We will help them to become better negotiators. And so our negotiation offerings are at MWI.org/negotiation.
And both of those skills, both of those classes are so necessary and so important for any corporation worldwide. I'm not going to limit it just to us Americans. It's really
Sure.
imperative that those skills not only get taught but are put into practice. And
Yes.
these are skills that I know that I personally have used
Mm-hmm.
in my personal life with my neighbors, getting an
Mm-hmm.
upgrade on an airplane. I've used them in, obtaining clients, maintaining clients,
Mm-hmm.
working with my employees. These are skills that will definitely improve someone's life, whether or not they actually become a mediator or become, a negotiator for their team. These are really important skills to have for everyone, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of people take mediation training because they want to become better advocates for their clients. Let's just say or maybe they just want to become better at listening or better at asking questions or managing a process. And so some people say, I really am interested in mediation, want to become a mediator, and they will, take the training to that end. But a lot of people just want to build those skills. And that's one thing that it offers.
Yeah, and having those skills and using those skills, like I said, I've just found to be invaluable over, sadly, decades of using them. So now your trainings that you offer in lots of different places, different regions, different countries, different American states, the minimum requirements are different. They vary place to place. How do you
Mm-hmm.
tackle the challenge of having a single mediation class in Boston, Massachusetts, for example,
Mm-hmm.
to qualify someone to hear Tennessee's Rule 31 cases? How do you
Mm-hmm.
handle those kinds of differences?
Sure. So, this one misnomer is the idea that one becomes a certified mediator. And the reality is that there's no national or even statewide certification system. There are some like court systems and some private associations that have developed their own certification process, but there's no certification process for private mediations. So when people are seeking to be qualified, it's oftentimes they need to meet a certain training requirement. And our research has shown that kind of about a minimum of 40 hours is required in most states, and for those court systems that require a minimum training. And then also the idea of a lot of states, for example, the state that we're based in, Massachusetts, has a experience requirement where you have to have at least 4 years of experience to be protected under what's called a confidentiality statute, which basically says if you meet the training and experience requirement, you can't be subpoenaed to speak on behalf of either party about what was discussed in the mediation. So as long as the people who actually do their research on what does your state require, our default training for mediation training is 40 hours. And also, I'm also happy to speak with people who are interested in mediation. They can reach out to me, and I can even help them do some research about what does their state require.
Perfect. Yeah, because it does vary from place to place. And I think you're exactly right. Most states, most regions, the 40-hour training meets all of those minimum requirements. And
Mm-hmm.
then if there's something, they need to co-mediate for a certain amount of time, that's something that they can work out with their local panels or court systems. But that is a question that I get all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
it's really.
that's a common question. Well, I'm glad that you offered for people to reach out to you and ask those questions because, it does give people a little anxiety to take a week, go to Boston, and then maybe not be able to have it qualified. And I know that you are so professional that you've covered all of those bases for folks, and they'll not need to worry by taking your course.
Yeah, and I think it's also important that people know that, and this, that this profession is one, because there's no licensure or certification, it is one that's a tough business. It's not one where you can take a 30 or 40-hour course and then get some business cards printed up and get like a just done. So it's one of those things where we just have to enter the field with open eyes and know that you have to put in a few years of even volunteering to even understand what is it that the role of the mediator entails, and how do you get to the point where you're ready to actually put yourself out there And so I think if people go into it with those expectations clear, they won't be disappointed and can think of it not just as a calling, but actually a business profession that requires a business plan and, putting in the hours necessary to build a practice.
That is probably the most common conversation that I have with mediators and arbitrators worldwide, is that it's imperative for people to know that in order to have a practice, they have to consider themselves first and foremost an entrepreneur, a business person.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
They happen to specialize in resolution services, but they're first and foremost a business person and an entrepreneur. And
yeah, absolutely.
So you do have to take a professional training, but you have to follow that up with business seminars, reading business books, listening to business iPod casts, watching business videos, marketing seminars, marketing books, marketing podcasts, marketing videos. When I work with a client, I know that it takes me from zero, from someone who exits your class to a full-time practice. It takes me about 18 months to 2 years to make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good you're providing that guidance to people, because I think there's a lot of people who perhaps say, well, I really love mediating, or I feel like I have a calling. And that's a good maybe initial fuel to get you prompted, but you have to approach it systematically like you help people do. And it's just important to, do that.
Right. Now, of course, not everyone who takes your training needs to start a business. There are community mediation centers that they can work with. There are volunteer programs that they can work with. And so it might be that they're going to take your training as part of a philanthropic endeavor that they have. And that's great and fine.
And that's and to that end, one thing that I made a decision about when we first started offering mediation trainings in 1994 is that I don't think it was okay to say, train people and then say, hey, good luck, go off, And so what we did, and when I started this firm, MWI, is I set it up as a nonprofit, which is also, we're approved by about 14 to 15 courts in greater Boston. So what we do is after completing the training, people can apply to be part of our municipal and district court mediation panel. And that provides people an opportunity to get that mediation experience co-mediating with a more experienced mediator. So we can kind of approach this in a way that is gives people a chance to build their skills and not have to just go out and, again, try to hang a shingle. Because almost like getting mediation experience is like getting credit. Like if you don't have credit, it's tough to get credit. And if you don't have mediation experience, you can't mediate. So we're trying to help people with that, and I think it's really been something where, there's about, at any time, there's about 50 people mediating 5 days a week here in these various courts.
Yeah, well, that's a great service that you offer, because it's true. How do you get experience if you don't have any experience?
Yeah.
It's a catch-22 that that we've all faced. So,
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I want to plug your program again. I love the programs that you put forward, and so
Well, thank you, Natalie.
It's my pleasure to talk to a professional like you. So if you want to learn more about mediation training or negotiation training, you log on to MWI.org. Chuck is a super professional, super friendly, really, truly lovely human being. He's one of my favorite human beings. And I know that he very generously answers all the questions that come across his desk. So if anybody is watching and has questions, this is the guy to go to.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
You are welcome very much. Chuck, I really appreciate you spending your lunch hour with me. I feel privileged that you've set aside a few minutes for us.
Oh, same here. So thanks again, Natalie.
You're welcome. Listen, everybody, if you liked this video and you want to see more, I'll put the information down in the description as always, but please hit subscribe, like, and share. Thanks very much for participating today. I'll talk to you soon, Chuck.
Take care.
Bye-bye.